I'm a poet. That's something I enjoy doing. It's relaxing to me. I've been writing for a long time, and I kind of like fell into poetry just by sitting around because I love music so much, and I always wanted to write music. So that's how I fell into that.
Okay. How long have you been pursuing poetry?
Oh, I've been pursuing poetry for 30 plus years.
You get your work out there. Do you do a lot of readings? Do you do chapbooks, or do you sell your books?
I have books for sale. I do a lot of open mics. I mostly go to Austin now. I use the internet a lot. LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. And I have DVDs. Also, I develop apps. So anybody that download my app, which is Birdman 313, they can read poems. I actually have a section for poetry, so you can go there and you can read poems there.
When you do readings, is there like a specific poem that you yourself like to do, or is there a poem that the crowd just loves to hear?
I normally I feel how the crowd is. Like, I rarely go first when I go to a reading. I normally sign up at number 4, and I just to get the feeling from other poets and the crowd itself.
Okay. Let's define poetry. What is poetry to you?
Poetry is really feelings that what a person is feeling. It can be a hurt feeling, it can be an inspirational feeling, it can be a joyful feeling. It's just how that person is feeling and what they're writing and putting down on words.
Let's talk a little bit more about the internet. You said it's broadening it down. Can you expand a little bit on that? How do you feel about it?
Okay, the internet, you have so many people now that's giving books away. You can go on the internet and you can get a free poetry book. So, like I said, there's so many people you can go to, they have tons and tons of poetry sites. You can go there and you can read poetry, and some of it, you just don't feel it. It's just not a feeling there. It's just like words thrown together. And by people having the internet and they can go to all these different sites, along with the rappers, it's kind of like them died, poetry died.
So would you say that poetry is dead?
No, I wouldn't say that. It's alive, but it's just that a lot of people don't want to hear what a person is feeling. Like some of my poems are very personal. A lot of people don't want to hear that. Then you have, like, if you have a poet that's into performing or a slam, which it's mostly like rapping. So you have a lot of people, youngsters especially, that enjoy that type. Then you have the older generation who just like nice, smooth poetry, something that has a feeling, that has a rhythm to it.
Poetry is no longer part of the mainstream market. Do you think that publishers are having an effect on the poetry world today in keeping it outside of that mainstream market? Do you think that they can actually, bring some advertisement and say, look, this is brand new, this is what you can buy?
Yes, I do, because by me being at book festivals and poetry festival, I hear a lot of publishers that I met a lot of publishers who said that, well, I don't publish poetry. And I'm like, why? They said, because it doesn't sell. And I was just, this one publisher out of Oklahoma, I won't call no names, and she actually said, this was my first poetry book I did. And the only way I take somebody's poems if they have a story to why they wrote that poem. And I said, isn't that kind of limiting? She said, it's because I don't really want to publish poetry books. And I've heard people, some publishers, who said they don't touch poetry at all.
Poetry is left to mostly small presses. Chapbooks are especially popular in that respect. What are your thoughts on self-publishing, and what are your thoughts on independent publishing?
Okay, because I have never done self-publishing. Self-publishing is you have more control over your books, whereas with a traditional publishing company, it depends on which publishing company it is. You have really no control over that, and I just think that the publishing company, because they have such a hard time of getting books in bookstores. like the big bookstores, there's so much red tape of getting a poetry book in there. And then like my books go to Barnes and Nobles. If it doesn't do well, they take it off the shelf in 30 days, even if it makes it to the shelf. And a lot of times it doesn't make it to the shelf, but it's in their database. So that has a lot to do with that.
Would you tell a fresh face to go to independent publishing before going to self-publishing for experience at least? Or would you just say, hey, just do it all yourself and invest in your own work?
I tell people, if you have the money, do self-publishing. But if you don't have the money, go to a publishing company, a small publishing company, not a huge one. Because if you go to a huge publishing company, they're going to charge you a lot, and you're going to be disappointed. Because a lot of people think that, oh, if I go to a publishing company, that publishing company is going to set me up with book signings. The publishing company going all the things that they think they're going to do. But what they don't realize is that when they go through all that, they got to pay for each thing, like ebook. They got to pay for it. If they do any book signings, they got to pay the publishing company. Where if you self-publish, you have the choice of doing all of this without paying anybody. So in the long run, self-publishing is a little bit better than publishing company.
Can you tell us about your publishing experiences? How have they been for you so far?
Okay, the first 2 books was published, and publishing my book was cool. Once they got my book, the thing about it was I got turned down 3 times by them before they published my first book. Okay, now anytime they want to do something for me, like they said, well, we can set up a book signing for you. I got to pay them for them to do that. We want to market your book. We want to send your book out to LA and market it. I have to pay for that. And then my books were selling, and because people were saying, oh, I got your book, I enjoyed it. I'm like, but I didn't get paid for it. So when I approached the publishing company about it, they said, oh, well, the people that were actually printing the books out kept our money. So therefore, I won't get paid. They said, well, we can't pay you until we get paid. So that was a bad experience, so then what I started doing is I just started buying a stack of books myself, and I started selling them myself. So therefore, I know I'm gonna get paid.
There's an article that said you can tell a medium is still vital by posing the question, can it change anything? Can poetry change anything?
That's a good question there. I think poetry can if people let it. But if people don't let it, then it won't change anything.
Can you give us some thoughts on what you would say? You said if people let it. Can you give us some thoughts on that? How can people let poetry change something?
Well, it's like the bookstores. If bookstores start giving I don't know if you've ever been in a bookstore and you see the poetry section. The poetry section is very small, and it seemed like some stores, it's so small that you'll walk right by and never know you're in the poetry section. So I just feel like if the bookstores start allowing these poets and these poetry, publishing companies to put their books out in there and give it a chance to sell instead of saying, okay, your book's gonna sit on the shelf for 30 days. After 30 days, we take them off the shelf. At least give it some exposure, give it some advertisement. Then maybe that would help out a lot.
You said you had some negative experiences in publishing. Have you ever thought about going back to the publisher and actually purchasing the copyrights back from them and just doing the book yourself and self-publishing the book?
Well, my last 2 books, that's what I did. I just told them, hey, I'm through with it, and I went to a different publishing company because it was a personal friend. We knew each other. He went through the same thing that I went through. So he said, look, this is what I'm doing. I'll publish your book for you. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And he said that you can do whatever you want. If you want to do book signing, that's on you. If you want to do open mic, that's on you. Just like I'll take some of the poems from my book to put in my chap books. And he said, I don't have a problem with that. Now with Publish America, I couldn't do that because they said, well, we got copyright and we own that. So you just can't use that poem on the internet without our permission, or even in a chapbook without our permission. But what I'm with now, he said, hey, that's really your stuff. So if you want to use it in a chapbook, fine. You want to put it on the internet, I don't have a problem with it.
We have a lot of events going on about poetry. We had the Austin International Poetry Festival. I believe the Houston Poetry Festival is coming up. Do you think these events are enough to generate public interest in poetry? Should there be more events?
I think the Austin Poetry Festival is a big event. A lot of people don't know about it. There's a lot of people there, but a lot of people still don't know about it. The Houston Poetry Festival, if you're a poet, then I always tell other poets, hey man, just spread the word around, because a lot of people don't know nothing about, Austin Poetry Festival or the Houston Poetry Festival. And I learned just by going to open mics, and that's how I learned about AIPF and the Houston Festival, because I've been going to open mics, hearing other poets talking, and they say, oh, are you going to be at this event? I'm like, what event? And once they tell me that, I'm like, oh, okay, then yeah, I'll start going.
So would you say a lot of your experience in networking is through open mics?
Yes, it is.
It is? Okay.
Yes.
How much has the internet affected your networking as opposed to the open mics? Like, is the open mics doing more for you, or is Facebook and LinkedIn doing more for you?
Right now, I would say that the internet is doing more, because there's people from my hometown. Now they know I do poetry, so when I'll post a video on Facebook or post a poem, people from my hometown, they'll read it. And I've gotten more interest from my college classmates, through the internet, and my hometown that way.
What is your message to young poets who are just getting their faces out there? What would you advise them in this kind of world?
I always tell them, don't expect to get rich. Continue to write. You're gonna have those who gonna knock what you write. You're gonna have those who gonna cheer for what you write. But just don't give up, and just don't think that you're gonna get a big check, because it's not gonna happen.